when you think about it.
Probably doing a count. It has to be doing a car count. Every X car. Like every X number car.
Just to see if you can snatch somebody up?
Yeah.
Yo,
just on some random number.
Hilarious.
Type of grab type stuff.
Well, I don't want to ruin your day, but
Yeah, I don't want to ruin your day. I just want to let you know.
I mean,
That's what he said. I don't want to ruin your day. I don't want to ruin your day. I just want to let you know. Like,
can we tell the listeners what has transpired this morning?
Welcome to the More Watts podcast. We're in Trek Summit. Here, so shout out to Trek. Shout out to Mike for always being available to open a store for us. Shout out to Brian.
Big facts, yeah.
For being so supportive of what we're doing and making sure Mike can be here and available to open up for us. So we're in Summit, New Jersey right now. And on the ride in, we always chit chat before we start. And as I was pulling up to the store, I was pulled over by a cop.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
Mind you, I'm on a residential street. I'm not the only car on the street. Pulls me over and he goes, I don't want to ruin your day. I just want to let you know. And I'm like, oh, here we go.
You was doing 55 and a 50,
bro. He said that I was doing 32 in a 25. And I'm thinking I didn't say anything. I just smiled. But I'm thinking to myself, there were 2 cars ahead of me and 2 cars behind me. How did you pick me out? It's not like I was on the road by myself. You know what I mean?
You know what it was? It was the Black Watch sweatshirt.
The Black Watch sweatshirt. It had to be. He knew I was Black Watch, so that's why he pulled
quotas
me over.
out here.
Nah, but he just pulled over another lady. And she
else.
looked like she was Latinx. So I don't know if there's some profiling going on or whatnot.
He's still outside right now.
Yeah, he's still outside the store. But I mean, he definitely let her go. He hit her with the same thing that he hit me with.
Which was,
I don't want to ruin your day. I just want to let you know.
Already.
So, and it's mad odd. So I'm wondering if he's doing like a car count or something like that, like every 5th car, every 10th car or something like that. Just run a place to see what's up.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Yo,
man.
remember last year, the whole, like, the kids were popping wheelies?
Yes.
All right.
And
Where was that?
They got a ticket in, was that Bayonne?
Yeah, it was.
Bayonne, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Bayonne, New Jersey. That's crazy. I never thought in a million years that you would bother some kids over popping wheelies, regardless if they were swerving across double lines.
I'm trying to remember what exactly,
Yeah,
it was strange. What exactly was the ordinance, or like what did they break? I can't.
In that town, if I remember correctly, in that town specifically, you must like stay on the right side of the street. And there were some other sort of like things happening with the laws that those kids, quote unquote, were violating, whatever. I'm not going to get into the minutia of it, but they're kids.
Yeah.
They're definitely kids.
Like, we're arresting kids for being on bikes?
Yeah, they were about to take little man in. I mean, he was talking. He was standing his ground, man, like, pleading his case or letting them know exactly what was going on.
Yeah, but it just gets odd, right? Like when you're like, yo, we're doing wheelies right now.
Right.
I mean, if there were like 10 of them and they're being a traffic nuisance, maybe they just give them a warning and be like, hey, go to a side street and do your wheelies. Don't do it on the main road, or but that's what community policing though is, right? Or at least being community members, I should say, which is to say, you understand the dynamics and the kids in the community and the people in the community, so it's easier for you to kind of pull up and just say, hey, not on this street. Right. Go over by X, Y, and Z.
All
and
it takes is like being present in your community. I want to be able to know your name as an officer.
Yes.
Like Officer Dan.
Right.
Yo, Officer Dan. Hey, Chad.
Right.
Just want to let you know, man, you can't pop wheelies over here. I know you guys are having some fun. I want you to be careful. I don't want anyone to get hurt. So if you could, something.
Right. And even if the few of the kids get a little spicy and pop off, they're still kids.
They're still kids.
They're still kids at the end of the day,
And that's when it's like, back in the day, it'd be like, where are your parents?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or, I know Miss Dorothy don't know you out here doing this. You don't want me to go down and tell Miss Dorothy that you out here acting a fool, Chris.
And you be more shook of Miss Dorothy than that cop.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Like,
exactly.
What happens to that?
Exactly. I mean, definitely the technology, I think, has been something that's been huge because, I'm the eldest of 5, and my younger siblings are maybe 12 or 13. My youngest is like 12 or 13 years younger than me. So when I came in with Nintendo, right? So I was after Atari and Commodore 64. I was in heavy with the Nintendo in middle school, and then we played that. And then my brothers were on the Genesis. My youngest brother was, I think he was PlayStation when, so gaming definitely boosted. So more of them were inside playing games. And then social media hit him.
We was outside.
We were so outside, man.
We was outside.
Especially for those of us that are in, that are in the cities, right? Street lights, that was your sign that it's time to make it back around. And I don't know, like, especially on my block where I grew up in DC, for like 4 or 5 blocks, everybody knew each other.
Yeah.
Everybody's kid went to the school. We knew whose mama would pop off if they said something in school, like, you don't want your mother coming up here. She's going to smack you in the face.
Oh, yeah.
Don't want to be embarrassed.
Yeah.
Don't want to be on that Summer Jam screen because she about to come. Miss Watson don't play.
Yep.
Trying to think of legitimately how many hours of the day did my mom have no idea where I was at. She's good.
Yes.
She understand you just outside. But if she was, it was like, yo, where is he?
Yo.
I mean, I know he's around somewhere,
Yes.
but you know what I mean?
But I know he's
Where?
good. Like outside, like after you came home from school and then you went outside.
Yeah.
Nah, my grandmother raised me. She didn't know where I was, but she knew I was good.
Yeah, but like, you heard your name.
Yes. At a certain age, right? Like you needed to be in earshot of that call.
Yeah.
Yes.
No matter how loud that football game, basketball game got, you heard your name.
Yes. Or if you didn't hear somebody, yo, your mama calling you.
Yup.
Your mom,
Yup.
mama calling you.
Yep.
Yes.
That's totally different.
That's the crazy thing is now that's completely changed. The kids are no longer outside. But the beauty of what I'm seeing now with the kids that are on these bikes, because when you in Harlem and you
They
through
get busy.
Manhattan
Yeah.
and they popping wheelies, it's a beautiful thing to see.
It is, man. Like
It's so dope.
wheelie culture is real.
Yeah, like to see these kids literally wheelie from 100 and I don't know 25th all the way down to Midtown.
Right. Word.
Like
on the same wheelie.
On the same wheel, like to see these kids like take off the front wheel
And still rock, yeah.
and still rock. It's almost like, yo, there's a budding sort of like sport happening in that, and no one sort of like
It's that subculture.
yeah. Like no one sort of like brought it to light. Like these kids that's a talent.
That is a talent. That's a talent. And then, I love how they trick out their bikes, right? Like the tires would be yellow or, you know what I mean? Like they really, I love the color. So they really go colorful on it.
Right.
And it's so different because you wouldn't think, some of the kids are so small too. And
They're little.
it's like, yo, how are you, the bike bigger than you? But it's just that balance, man. And the way the balance of the bike is just makes it, I guess, easier for them to wheelie like that.
Yeah. So it's for me, I'm thinking like, man, how do we make this an opportunity for these kids to like really flourish in doing what they love to do right now? Like taking it to the next level. Like at one point, BMXing was sort of that thing for bikes. And now I feel like this is the next coming of age.
Right. Yeah, BMX was that alternative thing to cycling. It was very much a young person's thing, and it was heavy.
Yeah.
You couldn't tell me I wasn't going to be a professional. What?
BMXing, right, bro?
What?
Bro, did you have a gyro on your joint so your joint spun all around?
I had the mongoose joint with the pegs in the back.
So
one in the front so I could get my little, you know what I mean? But as far as like, we used to be on the trails. Like these kids are in the city, in the streets, and it's a whole different game, and they're just way more technical. It's crazy to see, but yeah, we used to be in the trails. I swear I was gonna be professional. I'm telling you, man. I thought I really was, man.
And there was so much content too, and it's crazy because we are overwhelmed with content now, but back then, like I used to watch Rad. There were so many movies that I was watching. The kids, go check out Rad. It's a crazy BMX movie. But I was so on it, like Tony Hawk and them on the skateboards. It was crazy.
Yeah. That was good times.
Oh yeah.
The sport has definitely evolved.
And then X Games came about through MTV. MTV used to pump the X Games heavy.
Yeah.
Wow, man, like that was.
I was retired from the BMX days before that shit.
I told you I tried to do a bunny hop last time I was on my bike, and that did not work out so well for me.
Yo, shout out to Nigel Sylvester and all those cats that are still holding down the culture.
Yeah, I mean, I forgot how you could really get hurt on a BMX bike.
Yes, word.
Snap something.
Pop your
like,
shin
man,
real good too.
Let me take my ass back to this road bike, man.
Yo, you ever, you know what I'm saying? Because, we clipped in, but on the BMX pedals, you step on a pedal wrong and that shit say, and come back and smack that shin bone.
Woo!
Ah, man.
So it's it. Like,
Yes.
it's different. I respect them. I want to see, like the kids that are in Harlem, and more than just that, because it's really big in Baltimore too, like super big, to the point where they have laws against it, and I know like Meek with the kids on the actual dirt bikes, he was trying to make changes as well, but it's just a big subculture anyway. But like seeing it become not mainstream, but where they can put that into a bigger pot and mix that up, like that would be dope. I'm not sure how that goes down, but I would like to see that shit for real.
Yeah, let these kids make some money.
Yeah.
I mean, they try though. I mean, you know, I follow a few of them on IG and on TikTok. They try though. You know, like they definitely, a few of them have a few 100,000 followers. You know, like there's some real kids out here that have a following on social. But again, it's like they're that subculture. You know.
Yeah.
Right. I wonder if there are any bike brands that are supporting these kids, you know, to get them the proper equipment and supplies to continue showcasing their bikes. Think about it.
Bro,
that is free marketing.
Bro, that's like survey says.
Yo, that is free marketing. These kids are literally on their bikes all day up and down the streets. Yeah. And other kids who may be younger are seeing what they're doing. They're like, I want to do that too.
Word.
That's free marketing.
And a lot of them, like the way the bike culture works, right? Like, so they'll start there, and then maybe they'll transition to a fixie because it's still that same kind of rough, raw kind of situation when you pop onto a fixie, you know.
Especially in the cities.
Especially in the city, right? In the inner city. And then from there, maybe they'll go to road. But I can see them seeing road as being like this posh, hoity-toity type of bike riding, right? Like if you go from wheeling, then you on the road, well, because you got to have a $5,000 bike. Like, my bike is $200 and I'm out here getting it in.
That was the thing for me, because I had a fixie before a road bike, and I didn't feel like the road bike was cool enough.
Interesting, right?
You know,
right,
like,
yeah, because the old people like us on them.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
I didn't feel like it was cool enough, and I feel like that's the disconnect for a lot of brands with road bikes. Is, you know, all the pictures you see are the smiling faces, and you know, and it's like no, if you know, and I think that's what I appreciate about like what Legion is doing. Specifically Corey and Justin with the gold chains and everything's, you know, like got the flash. It's part of our culture, right? It's like, yeah, like this is who we are, you know, like this is who we are. We love chains. We have tattoos. We like, you know, our kits are different now. Like this is just who we are as a culture, and that's what's closing the gap between like the road bikes and the fixies. Is like you could be on a road bike and still look like you're on a fixie.
Yes. Yeah. Word. And also, you know, like that fixie subculture is vicious, man. Like those cats, they have
they make a living like that too. Like it's
for the messengers and stuff. But I'm just saying like how they dress, right? Like their dress is very, you know, what we consider like urban street style. Like they'll have on whatever jeans that they're rocking, roll them joints up,
right?
Clip in and be rocking like straight up hoodies, sweatshirts. It doesn't matter. They riding, you know, like they're walking down the street. You know what I mean? Like it's like straight up. Yeah. You know,
the dude when we were at the raffle event, he kind of came in a little bit late, and he was on a gravel bike, but the rest of his attire was fire.
Yes.
He still had on his clip-in shoes. He had on jeans. They were rolled up. The jacket was fire. He came in looking fresh. I was like, damn, like if I lived in the city, that's
that city shit.
Yeah, this is how I would get down. And, you know, like if there's an opportunity there to connect, like making the off-bike apparel and the on-bike apparel look pretty fly, you know, like.
That's it. That's definitely it. And with Fixies, you know, you go from wheeling to fixies to road to gravel and all the different genres. The cool thing about fixies, I've always found, even though I never rode one, but it's like, it's just a bike to kind of get you from here to there. It's a bike that you can roll up with your friends with. And when you're on I don't know this, but I never felt like you get on your fixie to be like, I'm going to do a 20-mile ride. You just get on your fixie to hang and do whatever it is you're about to do.
Yeah.
You know, but it's not like you have a distance that, you know, like you're not going out with a distance in mind or particular destination. You know?
Some people do boogie 20 plus miles on the fixie. I know, shout out Corey from Brothers United. When I first met him, he was on a fixie.
Yeah.
So he was road biking on a Fixie?
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
See, that's that versatility of that bike.
Yeah.
Now most people be on some like you're on a mission. Like I gotta get I'm in Brooklyn. I'm trying to get.
Yeah,
to
like
Harlem.
I'm saying, like you going from A to B, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Which is so crazy because if you're on a mission, I still feel like the road bike is better than a Fixie.
It's a lot of parts.
It is the road bike. I mean, think about it. You just have your front chain ring. You have a single cassette. And no brakes.
In one gear all the time.
But you get used to it, bro. The parts, the hamstrings, man, the calves, the joints get strong.
I don't know. Like, now that I'm on a road bike, I mean, I would still, be interested in a Fixie today, but I don't even know the bike. But
you don't need another bike.
Just one gear? Even if I was in a flat, like I lived in a flat area, one gear, I would get bored so quickly.
And you hit that traffic and you be like, oh shit, I cannot stop.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like I gotta stop, you know what I mean?
Yes,
you gotta
that
stop
skip
yourself.
stop.
What?
That they do hit that skip stop.
You're not gonna be bored. You go
Take your foot out,
I mean,
put it
see,
behind
what
the
you
tire.
see, Fixies to road bikes is like that's that technology, right? Like that mechanical advantage you get from all your gear. So that's what you're thinking about. Like, why would I give up my ability to do that? Whereas a Fixie person is probably like, I don't need any of that.
Yeah.
Like I got my gear,
But
I'm good, and they'll probably challenge you. Like I'll body you still. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, son, when we were doing the Wednesday Night Watch out of 96th Street, going through the park. I can't remember son's name, but he came through. He won a couple of championships, I suppose. I think he said at least races.
Yeah.
He was on a Fixie. Definitely was keeping up with us. And when we were going up like Harlem Hill or whatever, I'm thinking like, nah, he's done.
And letting you know about Harlem Hill. Harlem Hill is probably like a mile, 3/4 to a mile. Average grade is about 6 to 6.5%.
It's pretty tough.
It's pretty tough.
And it has risers in it, so it may start off at like 5, pop you to 12, come back down to 4. Like
it'll smack you.
Yeah, for son to kill that on the one, not even a one by. Son just had just one gear. That's it.
Just gear.
One gear. You murdered that. So.
But he said his legs. He said he was like, "Yo, my legs are kind of," because we were kind of getting it that day.
Yeah.
So and we did like 3 laps. So that second lap,
he felt it.
He felt it. That third lap, not so much. he wasn't banging it on that third lap.
Yeah, that's the thing though. Like with the fixed gear, at some point, depending on the terrain, it's gonna hurt you.
Yeah.
And plus, when you're going downhill, that's it. You spinning out.
You spinning out. But I actually asked him now because you go up Harlem Hill, then you go down, or when you're approaching Harlem Hill over by the swimming pools, like when you come down, you're about to approach. You get speed, bro. Like I've gotten 35, 38, maybe even close to 40 coming down there.
You gotta be careful how you take that corner coming around that pool.
He said that he can spin his legs up to 135, 140 RPM.
You're gonna have to.
Yeah.
You don't have a choice.
You don't have a choice.
Like,
right.
You kind of don't have a choice.
And if you take your feet off,
it's over with.
It's over because it's not like you can put them back on.
Not until you hit Harlem Hill.
Exactly, bro. You're just out there looking crazy.
Yeah, that's a whole different monster for me.
I call it visual.
Exactly. You're just out there. Yo, remember when that's how Chad had that accident? I don't want to bring that up. I don't want to spend too much time on it. That lady, when we were coming across the Tappan Zee Bridge.
That was so dangerous.
Cuomo Bridge, yeah. She took off. Bro, only thing she didn't do was take her hands off the handlebars.
We laughed about that, but think about it, because on those bridges, like when you, what's it? Yeah, I know it's Tappan Zee. Oh, it's Cuomo.
Yeah, Mario Cuomo.
So there's a lane coming, lane going, and then that lane is split in half for pedestrians on foot and then some on bike. So it's really just one lane, and then that's cut in half. So when you're coming out the park, and you're going like, up there like 15 to 20, and the lady came through.
Easy. We weren't even riding hard, and we were at like 20.
And she got so scared. I don't know why, but like it was oncoming, and she was just supposed to go past us. We stayed to the right. She got so scared, she threw her legs out. Like, if she could have clipped either person beside, it would have been a mess. Son. Like, and then we looked back and was like, yo. We was like, oh, the lady got Chad. Yo, she got him. Someone was missing.
Yo, he was missing.
Oh man,
he was missing.
Yeah. Yo, but one thing I want to talk about today are bike clubs.
Yes.
I want to talk about bike clubs.
That's us.
That's us.
Yeah, that's us.
Bike clubs and bike brands, right?
Yes, like whether you're trying to start a bike club or you're trying to start a brand that's gonna be, around like cycling. I want to talk about that today because, like over the last 2 years that we've been doing this, like we've come across a lot of bike clubs.
Yeah.
And what we're starting to realize is everyone's goals and initiatives are a little different. And you're like, did you all just get together because you wanted to cycle, or are you trying to like make some money, or are you trying to race? Like, what are your goals? And I'm thinking it'd be great for us to just talk to the people and, you know, help them understand, like, if they're trying to start one, like
what that looks like.
Yeah. Because what I'm starting to realize is a lot of the folks that we talk to, they kind of appreciate what we've established in such a short period of time. And we appreciate you guys acknowledging that. So I just want to drop some gems.
Yeah. It's pretty nuanced. I like that. Like what you were just saying, like everybody's goals appears to be different. And we definitely have affiliations or just genuine friendships with people that are in local clubs here, other states, across the country, what have you. And yeah, when you dive deeper, you'll be like, yeah, these guys are, or men and women, their goal is such and such, or their whole culture, like what they're about is racing or just riding, or like they really get after it, or, you know, some people are just together because their particular bike club has a mission for just strictly community service, or, you know what I mean,
right.
gathering people together. So everybody is different. I think sometimes that's organic. It just, you know what I mean, that forms, or sometimes you set out like, yeah, this is what we're going to do. We want to do this. So I'm not saying that's the first step, but if you decide on that or you figure out where you want to go, then that's a good beginning right there. Yeah,
because if you're looking to sell some merch, build an entire lifestyle, probably the best approach would to get an LLC, right?
Yeah, of course, business-wise.
You know,
Yeah,
business-wise.
if you're trying to make it a business. Because, by the way, a lot of bike clubs are nonprofits.
Yeah.
Yes.
Never understood that, by the way, why they're nonprofits. But, I mean, I guess because they want to get donations. But are they truly getting donations?
No,
I don't know.
There's definitely a benefit to motivate in that way, going that route. But to Chad's point, like, yeah, if you're deciding, like, yeah, we want to be in business, we want to, regardless of what it is, whether it's sell merchandise or anything, bike components, whatever the case may be, yeah, that the LLC or something of that nature, S corp, however you're gonna do it, but you got to set it up that way.
Yeah, I noticed a lot of clubs have like presidents and co-chairs. How do y'all feel about that? And we're not asking y'all this question. We know clubs that do have that, and then like there's no shade if y'all do it. But I'm just curious, like, what are your personal thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just what people fall into, right? Like they fall into just this particular bucket where they feel like, all right, this is the way it's supposed to be. You have to have a title. And I don't want to say title for title's sake, but we understand the reason for having leadership.
Right.
People that organize, make sure things get done, like that sort of thing. But sometimes it gets a little crazy, right? Like I feel like, I mean, luckily I haven't come across anybody recently that has been this way, but like where's an ego that's involved, right? Where it's like, I'm the president and, you know, like, oh, I'm the CEO, and it's just like, wait. Just wait for a minute. Like, what is happening right here, right? Like, you know, and I feel like sometimes it gets a little out of control, and maybe I'm going a little too far down the road on this one, but I feel like it gets a little out of control because I feel like people have aspirations to achieve certain things in their life. And not every environment would serve to be that one thing that helps you get there. It could be a piece of a larger puzzle that helps you get there. But I feel like, you know, particularly for people that aren't entrepreneurs, right? I find that when they do something entrepreneurial for the first time, it's like mine, me, right? You know? Like I have to be the head person, and I have to be the face of everything and that sort of thing. Whereas some people take a different approach, which is like our approach isn't like that.
No.
I think when it comes to those type of roles, or I mean, I've seen it with different clubs that we affiliate with, but even other ventures that people jump on, the whole president thing, or just whatever those titles are. I think it comes by way of how they got started. Like, if you get started with like 20, 30 different people and everybody's involved, you may have to carve up some roles because there's just that many people involved. So that's necessary. But like each situation is different. And for us, I just think it's organic, just the way it, you know, flows. Like I don't think there's anything stamped like, yeah, it's this position or whatever. So that's cool. But if you are going to go down this road, like as far as like putting a club together or or just a group of people that really, you know, are trying to get after it, even if it's just in a business sense. Yeah, you're gonna have to figure that out, like where y'all stand and how you want to formulate, how you want to put it together, and whatever's best. Like I dig it. If that's cool for you, that's what's up. But whatever's best for you and your group, that's what it is.
Like if that creates structure for y'all, do it.
Yeah.
You know, like if y'all feel like y'all need a president and an assistant, go ahead and do it. Because what you don't
Secretary,
like what you don't want is chaos. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that will bleed over into the rides.
It will, and I believe that if, just in general, I believe structure is important in any organization, right? Not necessarily, it doesn't necessarily even have to be hierarchical structure, right? It can be all flat. Everybody can be on the same line, but even with the three of us, right? What I love about how we work together is that we always, like, when, I don't know, like I always feel like we don't, there is no head person.
Right.
But if Ak knows more than we know, Ak is kind of taking a step out in the front, but it's not like we're like, Ak, you go ahead and you do this. We're right there flanking him left and right side. And then he'll spin around and be like, yo, what you think? Because of this, that, and the third. And then it becomes right back to a brain trust.
Right.
Yeah, pretty
Right?
much.
Yeah, and I think what's super important to know is when you do start this club or this brand, like really like defining the goals.
Yes.
And what is your identity? Like once you understand
Who are you? What is your vision?
Yeah.
What's your
Once
mission?
you understand all of those things and then you sort of like get everyone on board, it doesn't matter who it is that's speaking that day. They're always going to be able to talk through the vision, the brand identity, what the goals are, you know? So like you can't like build these things and then just like keep it in a bubble. Mm. You got to let everyone that's part of the club know here are the goals. Here's what we're looking to do. So if they're out somewhere or they're at a bar, they can talk to for us, like they can talk about Black Watts. They know what we're about, what we're looking to do. Doesn't matter if this person has been on like 2 rides or they've been on all the rides or they are part of the business, you know, aspect of it. It should not matter.
Yeah.
No, that's right. And I think that, you know, the organization and having that structure and having those goals, it doesn't mean that you can't just be a fun social situation, right? Like it's not that it can't be something that's fun and social and we can have a good time with. It has to just make sure that you have something whereby everybody understands what we're doing and how we're doing it and why we're doing it and that sort of thing, you know?
Right.
So
right.
I legitimately feel like the important part of having a structure is like how I got hurt, for example, right? Like I was riding with a group of riders, and they're obviously a club. They're a great club, you know, like their leadership are great people, but you could just ride.
Right.
Right. Like there was never any instruction before a ride. There was, because the person that ended up causing the accident was riding wild the entire ride, like just swerving back and forth, like, you know, spitting in the middle of the peloton. Like it was just, and it was inevitable that it was going to happen. It's just unfortunate that it happened to me. But at that moment in time, I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I don't care how simple the ride is. Right, we need to have some structure.
Right.
What happens in the event of, because they were like, "Are you going to sue us?" And I was like, "No, I'm not going to sue. I could, but you know, but I'm not going to sue you. You know, I don't want to take legal action or anything like that." And I think that you can seriously get hurt on your bicycle.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like you can get hit by a car, God forbid. You know, you can fall and break your collarbone, God forbid. You know, like there are things that can happen on your bike where there could be liability for the organization or the group that hosts or sponsored or even said something about that ride.
Yeah, and I think that's what everyone appreciated about our Father's Day ride last year was the organization, the structure. Although we feel differently.
Yes. I mean, but you know, when you organize something, you can always, when you go back and watch the game film, you're like, we should have did this. We should have done that.
Yes, but like everyone really appreciated the organization and the structure of our ride, and I think that's because we sort of like set some clear expectations before the ride. Like all right, we're gonna have some folks in the front, the middle, and the back, you know, like, and you kind of have to adjust on the fly. But for us, I want to make sure that we sort of like be clear around like roles and how important they are. So like Chris, you know, you typically lead our rides, right? So I think you should always have like a ride leader, someone that's gonna sort of like take on the responsibility of like organizing the rides, explaining how, you know, like how long or how hard this ride might be, you know. Am I missing anything?
No, you're right.
Yeah,
you're
delivering the instructions at the
Delivering
top of the ride,
instructions, right? Like
making
what
sure,
to expect on the ride, you know, like just the basic details,
right,
of the ride,
right. And that's not to say you're not involved in any other part.
No,
of the
that's
business.
correct. That's
you
correct.
know what I'm saying? It's just like he's Coach Chris, so like it makes sense, right? Like for him to be the ride leader. You know, you look for your team for their strengths, right?
Yep.
So like, Ak is very organizational. He's actually the balance between Chris and
Yes, Ak is the COO, Chief Operating Officer. My man is organized, structured. He is definitively between Chad and I. Chad and I can be on two different poles. Ak is right in the middle. Like, well, I see your point of view, and I see your point of view. How about we try? I'm like, that's right. That's why you Ak.
Yes, and that actually translates over into the rides.
Yeah. Yes, it does.
You know what I'm saying? And so, like, I'm the creative. Yes. So, like, that's all I want to do is create.
No, and when it, for example, like, you know, like, shout out to Chad for our designs, right? Like, I personally feel, and I think Ak agrees, that you kill the designs for our kits, you know, but
appreciate it.
Definitively, like, I've learned so much about the design process, branding, colors, like, and the importance of having a brand aesthetic, you know, and how that all relates and how it all fits together with your brand voice.
Yeah. Right.
From watching Chad and listening to the two of you guys just converse about that sort of thing, right?
But also, it's not just like I go off in a corner and design. Like, we have a lot of conversations. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So like, find the strengths within the group of riders that you have and really play off of those. And that's how you're going to have that really successful club. Yeah. You know, like, if you're not looking to make any money, that's fine. But don't push yourself to do something that isn't your strength. That's my personal opinion.
Your club has to have an identity.
Yeah.
You know, like, it can be a social, we just have fun, and then every time we stop, we drink beer. Whatever it is. Or we just hammer. That's it. We hammer, we drop you. That's the focus, and everything in between. But just have an identity, because having that identity makes it easier for new riders to understand who are you, their people, so to speak.
When you're trying to identify personas and grab people who fit with your club, like, if you didn't do that, if you didn't establish what that culture looks like with your own club, when you go out to look for new members, or new members look to you, if they don't see it, then, you know what I mean, like, it won't be there. It'll have to be not necessarily explained, but like a lot of people say, you know, like, yeah, I don't know, those guys ride fast. I'm gonna have to get my practice up first.
Or imagine your club being called the Go Fast Cycling Club, right? And someone pulls up on a motorcycle. Yeah, that's because you didn't clearly identify what it means to be a part of the Go Fast Club. Right. You know, so like that's what I mean is, like, if you're gonna brand something, do it the right way. You know, like, if no one in the club designs, that's okay. Go find a designer. Right.
If that's something that's important to you.
If that's something
that's important to you.
If the aesthetic is important to you, then go find a designer. Every designer doesn't cost $1 million, you know? Or if you want someone that specializes in leading rides, still, like, talk to other clubs. I think that's also important, right? Yes, right. It's like, get with other clubs that are doing things that you may not be doing. And I'm hoping that other club would be welcoming.
Yeah, and, you know, and it's so funny, right? Because I feel like sometimes clubs can click up, right? Like, you can't ride with, or you're looked, and maybe that's just a little bubble that we happen to be in. Not to say that we've come across clubs that are like, you can't ride, or it's frowned upon for you to ride with another club. But I do feel there is an undertone, though.
Oh, of course.
You know, it's a seriously strong undercurrent that's like, you know, if you're riding with another club. But I believe that's what makes cycling great, is that it's like, to me, going to another state or another city and enjoying what's good and great about that city. Doesn't mean that you don't love your city anymore or your neighborhood. It just means that you appreciate that they have great scones.
Right.
You know, like I love the scones over here. They're dope, right? Or Chad is a coffee guy, right? Like their coffee just happens to be fantastic over here.
I like speaking of that, the diversity between the different groups as far as like their output of like what they do, how they ride, who they ride with, where they go, how far, all of that type of stuff. The fact that it is super different is enjoyable. Like if we go link up with this club and we know they're gonna like, oh shit, they're gonna do like 70. You know what I mean? Or they're gonna try to bust a century or something like that. We know what it is. Or a club that's just gonna like let's take an hour and go after it. Or the rides that are just strictly camaraderie based. Shout out Eddie and Mike. Those guys they do everything. So you know what I mean? Like the beer rides, the long rides, the fast rides. So stuff like the fact that there's big differences between the clubs is dope. So find yours. And accentuate that. That's the best route.
Yeah, and it's crazy because I believe with that undercurrent, right? You got this secondary current that sits on top of it, where it's almost like a sports team culture, right? Like,
or gang, whatever.
Yeah, like gang,
gang,
right? Like, well, I wanted to use sports team, right? Where it's like you're in competition, right? I believe in cooperative competition, which is cool if you're competitive, right? Like, so we can go and ride with another club, or 3 or 4 clubs can come together and do a ride. And the intention of the ride is to ride fast and just challenge one another all along the ride. And that's okay too. Yeah. Or it could just be like, we're just going to hang out and play music, right? On our bikes, and we're going to stop and we're going to linger and we're going to chat. Like all of that is just as good. But just, the sports team, the vibe, gang. The sports team vibe, to me, I think, and this is, and maybe you guys agree, but I feel like that vibe sometimes can limit what's possible, particularly for cyclists of color and women who are predominantly not represented in cycling.
Right.
Like there's a tremendous opportunity to build community because it's always there, but to really make a change and really expand the reach and breadth and wrap our arms around different types of cyclists and different types of cycling.
Do you think there is like a definitive line between black cycling clubs and white cycling clubs? Because what I haven't seen is them come together and do rides.
Northeast, where we are, yes. Cali, where culturally it's a little different. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure what it's like out there, so hit us up in the comments if it's a little different. But yeah, like even for us, right? Like there are people who actually enjoy hanging around us, talking to us, have gone on rides with us, and they're like, yo, why don't you just join the club? And you're always with us. I can join. I'm white. We're like, wait, what? Yo, we're not on some EEOC type stuff, you know what I mean? But at the same time, man, we're inclusive to everyone.
Yeah.
But our focus is community. Yeah. It's education, right? Like we have some focal points that drive who we are as a club. And, if you get down with that, then you should definitely be a part of that.
Right. If you're interested in giving back to the community, specifically our community, it doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah. The line is there, though. You see it, like when we're out, especially like if we go to Sterling or go up into Morristown, we ran into the same bike club. Oh, cool dudes, like a couple of times, you know what I mean? But you could tell, like, there's definitely a line that delineates the two. I don't know if that's something that's just, it probably is just proximity, just culture, just who you align with. But I don't think there's a barrier. I don't think there's something that says like, you cannot do that. Like,
it's not a barrier,
right?
But so, it's not like they're necessarily screaming to like get down
link up.
Or I haven't had anyone say, "Hey, our club, whatever, would love to ride with Black Watts," and they're not even at the social riding events.
Yeah,
like even in Miami when we did Pedal with the Pros.
That was beautiful, by the way. I
we
know talk about it often.
Yeah, I know for a fact there are other bike clubs down there, and they know.
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, like knowing that, and Justin and CJ and Corey, like their impact on us, obviously, but I mean cycling at large, knowing their impact there. If you were a club in Miami and you heard that they were showing up, wouldn't you want to like check them out? I would want it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we were in the the bridge to Biscayne Bay, which is, I mean, big down there. It was thousands of people going, like, you know what I mean, going across. Like, so I know people had to catch wind that they were going to be in town, and that, I don't know. I in my mind, I would think that more people would clamor to try to get in touch with them.
Oh, but also like their notoriety, most of their notoriety has been with Criterium Racing. In Criterium Racing, while we are attuned to it, there are a lot of people that still think cycling racing anyway is Tour de France.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Or you're in the velodrome, you know, like some track type stuff, right? Like, so they don't, maybe their awareness just isn't there of Criterium Racing. But what I will say is that if you cycle and you're abreast of just current events, not even like recent current events, but in the last 3 years, if you've looked at a cycling magazine, you can't miss Justin not being on, like, homie's press. Shout out to your press secretary, Justin. I don't know who's doing your PR, bro, but they got you everywhere, which is great because your story is fantastic. And you know, you mentioned, you know, Rasan and all the other cyclists that came before that, whose shoulders you're standing on and making awareness to it. So I don't know, Ak, right? Like, I was thinking that too. I was thinking, man, it's going to be like 3,000 people here. Like, you know, like just wanting to get a glimpse of these guys, and it's not. And I'm wondering, is it because it ends up being this racial thing, right? I hate to say it like that, where it's like, you know, he's a black cyclist.
Right.
And, you know, maybe they don't respect what he does, bigger picture for the cycling industry and community at large.
Let me ask you a question. Peter Sagan did a pedal with the pros. Do you think the outcome would be?
Oh, bro, everybody, man, mama would be there, bro. We would have, you know, the local media, like, it'll be mad people there.
Right.
It would be crazy. But Peter races in the Tour de France.
And he road racing, so that's a big difference.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, like, but when Peter was first jumping off, he came to do the Tour of California to test his mettle because he heard that Californians get down. Like, that Tour de California was a real race. Like, and if you want to see if you have anything that it takes to do this style of racing internationally where it's a bigger stage, you got to show up at Tour de California.
Yeah.
But still, they would have came out
either
way.
Without a doubt. But Justin doesn't have the same level of global notoriety that Peter has.
Well, I think this year, I mean, obviously with the last couple of years, as far as pandemic and all that, changes things. But this year, those guys will be at the Harlem Skyscraper.
Yes. June 19th.
Right.
June 19th, 2022. Yeah.
So, and not just them, but, you know, like a lot of like pro cyclists will be there at that race. So we'll see what that type of turnout is going to be and what the draw is and who, like, what type of people and what type of personality types are invested in this, as far as either not just crits, but, you know what I mean, just this local culture. So all the clubs that we know or that we affiliate with, I'm sure will be out there. It's one of those type of events, you know what I mean?
It is. It definitely is.
We'll see what it looks like this year.
Yeah, I mean, even before Home Skyscraper, we got our event.
Yeah, of
Yes,
course.
we do. Yes, we do.
That's the day before.
June
18th.
June 18th.
Black Watts Day.
Black Watts Day. Come check us out.
Exciting.
We're going to have stuff for the entire family.
The link will be here,
Somewhere.
Somewhere. The link is on our IG.
It's definitely on our
Please
IG.
register if you're in the area, or if you plan to be in the area. Come to our ride. It's gonna be super fun.
You can even search Eventbrite under Black Watts in the state of New Jersey. If you search for Black Watts in the state of New Jersey, you'll be able to see our event. So this is good for me to talk about my Coach Chris moment here.
Yep.
Today I want to talk about comfort.
You know, this my conversation.
Comfort on the bike, right? Because, you know, we talk about all these things as related to bike. Like, we started off talking about wheeling, you know, then we talked about, you know, folks that are doing Fixies versus road. You know, comfort is one of the most important things. We've already talked about in the past having the importance of a bike fit and how that helps you get comfortable. Yep. But what I want to really stress today are the touch points that ensure your comfort. Your handlebars, your saddle, your pedals. Chad recently has been undergoing a saddle change, right? Like, he has found a saddle that works for him, And Chad, I think you will echo this loudly and say it all the way for the people in the back. Once you find your saddle, you do what?
You stay on
You
that.
stay on that saddle. I don't care how
that.
many bikes you have.
Yep. I
You
will
stay
buy
on
the
that
same saddle for all gazillion bikes.
Yo, and that's important because if your position on the bicycle is going to be the same and all you're doing is maybe getting a different frame, right, or something like that, unless you're going from, riding a traditional road bike in the road race position versus the endurance position, you may want to look at a difference of saddle there, right? Versus if you're with a time trial bike, your saddle will be completely different there. But once you find the saddle that works, not talking about the position of the saddle, but the actual saddle itself, you have to make sure for the position that you're going to be in that it's comfortable. Same thing with your handlebars, right? Like that handlebar width is important.
Yeah. I
for the
recently
style
changed
of
mine.
riding
I had
that
to
you're
switch
doing.
it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like once you know your width and you've been riding, like somebody brings it in, we're talking about centimeters here.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, whoa, this doesn't feel right. I don't have the same control. And then lastly is on the pedals. One thing that a lot of people don't talk about, particularly when you're clipping in, is that cleat position on your shoe.
Facts.
When you have flat pedals, your foot is free to move into whatever position your knee and hip alignment needs to be in so your body can maximize what it's doing in that moment.
Quote unquote.
Yes. But when you are clipped in, your foot doesn't have the same lateral movement because it's there, but it can pivot and swivel, right? So it's important to make sure that touch point is really locked in the same way that your saddle and handlebars are.
Because it can affect your knees.
Yes.
Your
ankle,
hips,
knee,
hips,
hip, like
Achilles.
Yes. Your lower back.
Your lower back.
Even your shoulders,
Yeah.
right? Your thoracic spine, because it can really impact your posture for whatever riding position you're in, right? So for my moment today, comfort.
Yeah, that's important for me because if you're uncomfortable, your body is compensating in other parts of your body, so
without you knowing.
Yeah, without you even knowing it until the next day.
It's a fantastic machine. We can pretty much adjust to just about anything.
Yeah.
Speaking of the cleat position, like if you just throw it on, there's plenty of videos. Please look that up. Like how to actually either measure with your eye. You can go get fitted and get it done, but if you want to do it yourself, look it up. But if your cleat position is off, you may like, oh shit, my back hurt. And you don't know why. It's because your cleat position is off, so your knee is off, so your hip is off, so your back is off. So all of that's connected. Like try to get that correct.
Yep.
For real.
So those touch points, your feet, your saddle, and your bars. Always think of those three when something is off. Try to figure out within those three what it is. The good news is if it's your saddle, your butt is just gonna hurt. It's just gonna hurt. It's gonna feel uncomfortable. You're gonna feel pressure on your undercarriage in that perineum area. It's just not a good thing because you should not be in pain when you cycle.
At all.
You should not try to endure through any pain at all.
Yeah. Thank you, Coach Chris.
Yeah. Comfort. Comfort
That goes
is important.
all the way back to a bike fitting, doesn't it?
It does. It ties all the way back.
It does.
We didn't dive in specifically on that on the bike fit, but it's something that's a major component of the output of the bike fit.
Yeah. And like we said before, your body will adjust as you start to lose weight, as you start to get stronger. So if you've gotten a bike fit maybe a year or two ago, it's probably best to get another one this year.
Especially if you've been riding a lot.
Yeah, if you've been riding a lot. If you switch bikes, like the body's a beautiful thing. So don't underestimate it. Because they'll tell you, like, I'll be like, oh, something don't feel right.
Chad will know. Yo, this man knows his body like nobody else I've ever come across in my life. He'll be like, yeah, it feels like. I'm like, he doesn't say centimeters, but in my mind, he's probably calculating it's like, a third of a centimeter off right here. But to his credit, every time he goes back to see our fit coach,
shout out Kate.
Shout out Kate. He's
Changes
always
are made.
right.
Yeah.
Changes are made. He's always right. So shout out.
For example, right, just so you know how serious it is. So I went from 11 speed to 12 speed. Had no idea that
He's talking about his gearing.
my gearing. So I went from an 11 speed group set to a 12 speed group set. What I did not know is the shifters actually extended, what was it? Further out on the 12 speed than 11 speed. So while my measurements were fine, everywhere else, my reach had gone out. So I'm riding. I'm like, yo, my back, something's wrong.
Yep. And we're talking about maybe a half a centimeter here.
Half a centimeter.
It's not a lot.
Yeah.
But the way, because he rides so much and his position is so locked in,
I noticed it. That small difference, I noticed it.
That was millimeters.
Whereas Ak and I, our circle of change is a lot wider than the larger diameter than Chad's is. So I wouldn't have noticed that.
Yeah, that I learned like super early, because I was riding with these guys in the beginning, and like my wrist would hurt. You know what I mean? Like I would just catch, and I was like, oh yeah, that's probably regular, and I let that go for dumb long. But then, you know, after getting fit, and Kate was like, yo, you should feel no pain anywhere. You got pain, there's something wrong. Like, fix that. So if you're riding, your back hurts, butt hurts, your wrists, hands, whatever, anything's numb, like your toes,
your neck, your knees, yes.
You feel any tingling in your extremities?
Yeah, fix that.
Yeah, fix that.
Yeah, for real.
Because that's preventing you from enjoying the bike. And then at some point, you're not going to want to get on the bike.
You're going to quit. Don't quit.
Don't quit. Don't quit. So before we break, I want to jump back to the conversation that we were having about clubs, because one of the things that we talked about was in talking about how to start a club and what you should do. What do you guys think about clubs really joining together?
Like Transformers?
Like Transformers. You come together for something larger than any one singular club can be, because that transformation, or that joining or combination of that club could be an increase in numbers, but it could also be an increase in resources, right? Whether that's human resources to help with education and teaching people to ride bikes, or just setting up rides, right? Like, you know, or if you have other aspirations off the bike, like how we do our Black Watts Day.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's cool if you want to join forces. You know, like if there's another club out there that has the same goals as Black Watts and they're able to bring additional resources to the table, you know, I would be open to the conversation. You know, it's like a business.
Yeah.
You know, like you have a startup and then you've got this large corporation and they want to come in and help your startup grow and take it to the next level. If that's what your goals are. If your goals are take it to the next level, then I'm all for it.
And that next level is whatever you've defined it to be.
Yeah.
Correct.
Whatever you define that next level to be.
Yes.
And because I believe that there's so much synergy, right? There's some overlap, but I believe that there are more synergies than overlap, and why clubs should be, if nothing else, coming together for single purposes.
Yeah.
Or just coming together in general, because there's so much overlap. That club is always riding with this club, right? So, I mean, or the two clubs are always riding together all the time. They might as well just be one club.
Right.
Right.
I think it's inevitable, actually, regardless to what the goal is. There's only a certain amount of real estate out here. By real estate, I mean there's only a certain amount of people that do this and enjoy this. So I think it's seriously, I think it's pretty much inevitable. Also, if collaborations are done club wise, that's great. But even if you get together like the same way that, you know, sneaker cultures or fashion does, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Let's like collab up, like bang up. It just makes a greater product, whether it is content, whether it is just like social gatherings, like that could be fire. Like two groups get together or multiple groups get together, and even if a ride is involved, but there's a social, now that we're back outside, like a social aspect that goes along with it, that could be just like super dope. So I think it's inevitable. I think it's going down regardless.
Yeah, and I think about it like a consortium, right? Like when you think about colleges and universities in athletics, right? NCAA, whether we love the organization or not, it's still the parent, quote unquote, organization that sets the baseline rules for all the schools. But then you have conferences.
Yeah, Big East.
You know, right. And within
SWAC
there,
or
those
something
schools talk business about the things that can benefit all of the schools.
I like that.
Yeah,
that are in there.
schedules, and that's a good example.
Yeah. So like, you know, having a consortium, I don't want to call it a conference, but more like a consortium where, you know, the club leaders, if you want to call it that, can come together and talk about what'll be good for the collective and how can we move collectively to reach goal X, goal Y, whatever that may be, right?
Yeah. Because it's like, at some point, there's going to be too many clubs. like to Ox Point, and you're gonna be going to a season opener every day.
But what's crazy is that like again, you can have a consortium whereas everybody keeps their own identity because their identities are unique and it's different and nuanced and that sort of thing. Or if clubs join together, right, or a larger club works with a smaller club to absorb that club and make sure that that smaller club's culture isn't lost, right? Because now we're talking about the business. This isn't just the business of cycling, it's the business of mergers and acquisitions.
It's a different story.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, so it isn't as simple as, y'all are in West Orange and we're in all of the oranges. We're going to come and scoop your little 5 members, 20 members or whatever. Like, we're just going to take your members. It doesn't really work like that,
Right.
Because those members got, like we said, right? Like they started riding together for some, like specific purpose or goal or whatever it is. And to the extent that the larger club or the other that want to be acquiring club finds some common ground with the acquiree, then it can make sense.
Yeah. Do you think the egos are too large for someone to say, yes, I want to join Cycling Club A? Or is it like, hell no, I'm not joining Cycling Club A? Like, do you feel like there's be some ego play involved?
Hell yes.
I think so. I think to Chris's NCAA example is really super valid. Like, that makes the most sense as far as what we're talking about here. If that was done, so much more could be done to combine resources or if you have a goal in mind, you can get after it. But, I mean, if you started something, if it's your baby, like, this is, Black Watch is our baby. I'm not trying to, I wouldn't want to give that up. So I would understand if that's where people were at. So the whole consortium conference type of ideal, that makes, to me, it makes more sense that way.
But if there was another brand or club out there bigger than us, I know the answers to these questions, but I want to ask it.
Yeah, no, let's talk about that, right? So if there was a larger club that came to us about acquiring us, one of two ways, right? Because again, I look at this like M&A, right? So they came to us with an offer, whatever that offer may be. That offer could be, services, whatever that may be, right? Or they came and was like, we're just going to take all your members, which is the equivalent of I'm just going to acquire all your stock, right? I'm just going to buy all your stock, and that's going to be it. Or I'm going to take all your customers.
Right.
One way or the other, we're going to acquire Black Watts, right? Like, so there are, aggressive ways to go about it, right? Right. There are, just like in business, right? There are aggressive ways of acquiring a company, and there are, more collaborative ways. So to me, Black Watts, in order for it to be to fit into another organization that wants to acquire us, let's say, what they would have to bring has to be everything that we want today, everything that we've thought about 10 years from now, that where we want to be, right? And things that we never even imagined, right? Because our vision is so big.
And value.
It's our value, yes. But but just if nothing else, right? Like, we're
clear.
Small. Yeah, no, but we're small, right? But like the way we see the world, right? Like, we're this massive oak tree, right? We don't want to be in a pot. Right? Like, we want to be out in the open land where our roots can spread and we can grow nice and tall and have a good, base. So to me, they can be, if they wanted to go aggressive, like, we're going to take all your members, you can be like, all right, cool, but it's still me, Chad, and a kill. So it doesn't matter who else, because what we want to do and how we want to reach the community and how we want to focus on education, how we focus on branding, how we focus on content, how we focus on design starts with this brain trust.
Yeah.
Right. And it's larger than any one member, because what we do can expand beyond, can reach out to literally every rider globally.
I can't see it.
And there's no shade in that. I'm not saying that to say.
Chris basically said we cannot be bought.
Yeah,
we can't be bought and we can't be taken.
Yeah, that's my funny.
For anyone that was curious,
we can't be bought and we can't be taken. Sorry.
That's pretty much it. Like, I mean, you were very nice about it.
Yeah,
But period.
You know,
like,
I'm trying. You know, we're live and on air. Like, you know.
no. I can't.
Yeah,
happen.
Chris is going back to like, you know, the people in your club who need to do certain things. Chris's are like, hey, we're gonna give it to you the nice way.
Speak about it.
Hey, listen. I just want to lay it out.
To Chris, you're gonna get it the nice way.
But definitively, the answer is no.
It's gonna be no.
It's going to be.
And that's what I mean. I'm sure, like, Chad, you were asking if there's egos, but I don't think that's ego driven. Like, not from this standpoint. So I don't believe it would be ego driven from other people as well. Like, if somebody wanted to buy somebody else's club, all those things would have to be laid out. Like, yeah, what's your goals? Can you exceed them? Can the resources that you bring to the table exceed what we have? Can you bring something we don't have to the table at all? Bet. But unless that's possible, I can't tell. I don't think anyone's. If you want to call it that, I don't think anyone's ego would allow that to go down.
Yo, do people really understand how much work is involved in like running a brand? I'm not even just like a cycling.
I was
going
to say yes.
Just period.
Yes.
Just period.
No, they don't.
Brand, a cycling club. Like, there's a lot of work. It's another job.
It is.
It is a full-time job.
Like, I mean, I would say that the three of us collectively easily put in over 40 hours a week on Black Watts.
Absolutely.
Easily. Just all of our phone conversations, our text conversations, our emails, the meetings that we have.
Yeah.
Right? Like
outside correspondence.
Like if you add everything up, it's a legitimate other job.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's the same for other people. That's what I mean. Like, I can't. There's a lot of work that goes into it. Don't ever. We started this off like just, you know, letting people know like what it would take and what you would need to do, and some like low level advice. It's not. It can't be. If it's just something put together and it's just like it's just working now for you, no real work involved. Then it's. I mean, I'm lucky you, but for real, it takes a lot to get this done. So that's part of it. There's a lot of work that goes into it.
And that's not. And that work can be as simple as just organizing a ride. I mean, think how much we think about structuring a ride, and all the people that come on the rides.
There's a whole conversation. When y'all joined one of our rides, it just wasn't some shit we threw on Strava.
Yes,
it was.
We've talked about it for hours.
It's
right.
And
you know, we look at various scenarios. Right, like, all right, the ride is supposed to be this type, but what if this occurs? Right, what if that occurs? For members or non-members, right? We take all those things into consideration, and we go out with the best intention to make sure, like, all of our energy is put in to make sure that everyone on the ride enjoys themselves.
Yep.
Right. And there's definitely a plan in place.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. Yeah, we've literally thought through everything. That's why some of our more faster rides are only club specific.
Yes.
You know, because
we can't solve for the variable, right?
Yeah.
We can't solve for the unknown of someone who wants to join the ride because they've gone on another ride with us. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, I can do it, but this ride is harder.
Right.
Right.
Certain things a waiver ain't gonna catch.
Right. Right. The waiver's not gonna catch that. But how we ride is we never drop anybody, right? So what ends up happening is the entire group would slow down for that rider or group of riders to make sure that we
at
all
a catch
together.
point. We wait somewhere. Like
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Especially right now, y'all know me in the cold.
Yeah.
Yes.
If we waiting too long and my body temp drop,
you got to go. But that's just not for you though, right? Like there are a lot of other cyclists that feel like I can ride in 40-degree weather, but I can't stop though. I can't stop for 20 minutes on this ride. Like I have to continually move because once my core temp gets up, and my muscles
that sweat
up,
under that, you got your base layer on. It gets sweaty. You stop and it's like
feel all that
50.
sweat, right?
It's below 50 degrees outside. Nah,
you feel all of that. You feel all of it. And even if you have the wind blocking all out and all that, but it's just the cold you start to feel.
You start to feel the cold.
Yeah, those rides being organized and having a plan behind that's super important.
Yeah. So it's a lot of work. Even, you know, like the design of flyers for events, making sure it's clear what the expectations of the ride are, you know, like social. Like all these things, it's a business. You know, like if you're not really set up or have the resources to really run it, don't run it.
Don't run it.
Yeah.
Because we're a brand.
Yeah.
We're a brand, and one of the industries that we're in is our primary industry is cycling. Right? But we have touch points across other industries, right? In terms of the nonprofit space to provide supplies and things for children.
Yeah.
Right? Community in terms of doing things for senior citizens, doing things for people who don't have enough food or that sort of thing, right? Toys for kids, like that sort of thing, right? And then we also, nobody would ever say this because they don't think about it in that way, but we're also in education.
Yeah.
Right? Like all these things that we talk about bike fit, that's all under the educational space.
Yeah.
You know?
And we're talking to you. We're, you know, like,
And we're talking to you.
we're no shade, but we're not from somewhere else across the water. And, you know, speaking in kilometers, we're talking miles.
Not kilometers per hour. We're in miles per hour. We keep it.
Nah, I mean, we're at where you're at. I mean, we're riding where you ride. We're going through the things that you're going through,
yes,
or will go through. So we could put you on, like,
yeah,
show you exactly how that should work.
That's the barrier of entry is, you know, the level of conversation that we see on certain YouTube videos. There's a huge disconnect, and it forces you to go somewhere else to understand what the hell they're talking about, and then you got to go back to the YouTube video.
Yes,
and that's like a waste of time.
It is.
Yeah. Speaking of that, like, if you know, when you're seeing this in the comments, like, let us know if there's things you want to talk about, if there's things that you are curious about. You could always look things up, but, you know, if you want to talk about them in this type of environment.
If there are products,
yeah.
if there are, you know, fitness level questions, if there are bikes,
business questions.
Questions.
I mean, heck, we even talk about the metaverse, right? Like in our club, we have a whole, you know, avenue and lane so we can talk about investing.
Yeah.
We can talk about the metaverse as a topic, right? Like, what does that mean? And
I like
how
that
can we be
crypto.
involved?
Come holler at me. I like
right. You know, like, so there's a lot that comes along with this. And I'll say, and we can probably close with this, but if we are thinking about expanding, please understand that there has been a tremendous amount of thought that has gone into it, right? It's, if we ever approach any club with the desire to absorb them or anything like that, I'm using, you know, the business terms that I know, or to acquire them, right? It isn't because we just have egos and we just like want to just make the map Black Watts
it's
everywhere
not
it
a
is.
Death row conversation.
Right, you know, everywhere you look, you drop a pin, it's Black Watts. Like, no, like that's not what it is. But we feel like strategically this fits into what our core values are. Our values match, and we feel like what we can offer to your club members as well as the leadership of the club will be beneficial because it hits all of your goals, and we feel like the resources that we bring, both human and financial, to the table will be beneficial to all involved.
What if someone goes, well, why don't y'all just join our club then? I'll be like, well, shit then. What y'all got going on?
Like what you got going on. But you know, like what are some of your short-term goals? What are some of your long-term goals? Like, talk to us about everything that you're doing and where you want to be. Talk to me about your brand. What's your brand aesthetic? Like, there's so many other things, right, that go into it.
Right. Yeah.
Pretty much.
That consortium is needed. That consortium is needed.
Yeah,
hey, y'all, come on now. We got to get to it. We got to get this consortium.
Yeah. Let's have a conversation.
You got to have a conversation.
Talk to us.
Man, we ran a little bit long.
Ran a little bit long today, but this was a necessary topic.
I thought we was ending. Then Chris wanted to jump back.
Because I wanted to
tell us what's on your heart. Tell us what's on your heart.
I wanted to talk about that because, I mean, obviously we talk about it a lot in terms of where we want to go and that sort of thing. But I just think that now that COVID is becoming a part of our everyday lives and we're learning to operate within it, more people are going to be outside, and those of us that started biking during COVID are going to want to find spaces and places and people that to ride with, and people are probably going to start clubs, right? You know, and I think that it's important for folks to understand like how we view it.
Yeah, or they're part of a club and they're not happy with the goals of that club and they want to start their own.
Come ride with us.
Just come ride with us.
I don't care.
And because, by the way, we can incubate you. You come ride with us, you learn some stuff, and then you go do your own thing.
Yeah, come out.
Or you could be a part of more than one club.
Yes. Say it again.
You can be a part of more than one club.
This is not a sports team.
It is okay.
It's not a sports team.
You can be a part of more than one club.
Yeah.
It is okay.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. So shout out to Trek Summit for having us come out again and supporting us and being here. To Teresa, Julian, Ian, You know, the whole crew that is here for us today. Brian, Dylan, everybody.
I know they're tired of me. They are so tired of me.
Yo, shout out Chris Bourne. Son is racing.
Yes.
Under that Black Watch banner. You know what I mean?
That Black Watch
he's out
flag. And Jeff. Shout out to Jeff. Out here doing them 5:30 a.m., 6 a.m. races. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to y'all. And if you guys want to race and you're in our local area or you're not, hit us up. Let us know. I mean, we're looking to expand our racing. Like, we have so many goals and things that we're trying to do. So hit us.
Yeah.
Come holla at us.
Peace. See y'all.
All right.
All right, y'all. Peace.
Peace.